Barry's gonna pass. This seems weird to me.
Interesting.
I don't understand. I guess he doesn't want to remove any of the creatures. I mean, if he's gonna use Soul of Innistrad or like to get back cards, so that costs 6. He's gonna die. And there's a real good one.
That is a good card for Dan to have off the top of his deck.
Dan really wishes he could draw that one right now because I'm pretty sure that just kills Barry.
Yeah.
So if Dan can live one turn, I'm pretty sure Barry is just dead.
Let's see what Dan has in store. He does also have the Lightning Strike still in hand, correct?
Yeah, that's odd to me that Dan didn't just fire that off.
At the end of turn?
Yeah, I would have just fired it off. It's really bad. It's not doing anything.
Sure. He's going to mull over his options. Does he play the Courser and then his land to get the 3 life?
Dan needs to not die this turn, or next turn. So he's going to take 6 in the air, go to 3. He needs to then, Dan knows that Barry can just bring back, Dan's in a tough spot. So he knows that Barry can just use the Soul of Innistrad to get back the Siege Rhinos. He knows he's taking 6 in the air, going to 3, and then Barry can just play a Siege Rhino and kill him.
Correct.
So I think Dan needs to formulate some sort of attack that kills Barry right here. Or he can, additionally, I think if there isn't an attack, he can just play his 3rd Courser, play his land, gain 3, go to 12, and then he has a little bit of buffer. So then he just needs to have enough power or enough toughness on board to block the 2 Siege Rhinos. And then as long as he has enough devotion, he can just untap and murder Barry with the this.
So he wants to end it.
Yeah, and this doesn't play around Murderous Cut.
This does not.
I mean, which is...
So all the creatures that Dan is attacking with have trample.
Now he is 4 mana to give +2/+2.
Correct.
So we have how much mana?
We generate 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9.
So we have 9, 12 mana. We have 6 more. Like, this technically kills Barry.
Correct.
But the Genesis Hydra is just going to die, and then we're going to die. So I guess Dan... I think Dan had the more conservative line would have been just to play my Courser, gain my 3 life.
Sure.
And this line is just going to get destroyed by Murderous Cut.
The Murderous Cut will...
This line just I don't think is great. Although, I mean, yeah, I don't know. I like the more conservative line. I still think we can win that way. Now we're just dead. Because, like, we know what Barry can do. What's he going to do with, like, 6 open mana at the end of his turn, you know?
Very true. Barry's going to drop down to 5?
And we had Crater's Claws for 12.
Open up?
Yeah, 11, yeah. 13 with a big guy. Yeah, I think that's not the right line by Dan. And especially because we could have also, like, Lightning Striked him, put him at 8, and then we could just kill him with, like, the stuff we have...
coming up.
In play already, you know? We don't need anything else if we Lightning Strike him.
True.
All we need to do is draw that Crater's Claws. And I understand Dan doesn't know he doesn't have the Crater's Claws on top, but...
So we see the life gain from Dan. Decided not to play his Courser, which is interesting, before he played his land.
What's he going to Lightning Strike? It doesn't make sense to me.
He could have gone up to 11 here. Had he played the Courser he has in hand, he's doing some math now. Passing the turn? I think he's kind of realizing... Maybe the Desperation attack was not the plan that I wanted. Yeah, and I think, here he's actually not just completely dead, because Barry can't return the soul now. So he needs to play a blocker, though, because he is dead if he doesn't play a blocker. Correct. So
he does need to play the Courser.
The Courser does have to come out here, and I'm wondering if Dan is kind of finally realizing... Maybe my combat math wasn't up to what I wanted it to be.
Yeah, well, he does need to play the Courser. I don't know why he's sitting here in the tank for so long. What's he going to do with Lightning Strike?
Unless he's got something else that we do not know about, he's going to say, I'll strike the Rhino.
That's fair. Rhino has damage on it. Now we're going to go to 4. I actually kind of like that play.
Well, it's interesting to note that the burn doesn't always have to go to his opponent's face.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the line in general. I like the more
Sure.
conservative line, but, I mean...
He definitely still put
I do
himself
like the
in a-
killing the Siege Rhino plan over the playing the Courser plan.
I agree, yes.
But
that is...
It's possible yeah. I don't know if we could have done both, but I don't think so.
Dan's going to shuffle up here.
Yeah. So Barry needs... Okay, so Soul is 5? Alright, so the Soul is 5. We're still fine, though.
2, 3.
Barry still has... Okay, Barry's going to go up to 8, but then we have Crater's Claws for... We have Crater's Claws for enough. Okay, let's see. Does Barry have good draws here? Hornet Queen's bad because we're just going to die to Crater's Claws. We also died a Lightning Strike.
Correct.
So, he's going to probably go up to 6 from a Siege Rhino. Dan's going to go to 7, going to take 6, go to 1. Is Dan going to survive with 1 life? Can't tap the Mana Confluence then.
He cannot.
But if he has a land on top, then he can, because he just gain a life.
He does have the additional Courser to play. So we'll see Barry.
Barry going to drop the Siege Rhino.
Yep.
Dan to 1. I imagine. Fireball, baby.
The Crater's Claws is glaring on tap. Dan just wants to rip that card so bad and just end it.
Barry needs to, like, unravel the ether here for
Yeah.
that Courser of Krufix. I think that's his out.
Just ship it. Get it away from me.
I guess if he had Murderous Cut.
Guys,
Murderous Cut? No.
I don't even think that's...
Yeah, Murderous Cut would be decent. Because Dan has how many lands in play? 6? 7?
1, 2, 3,
Yep,
4,
still
5,
dead.
6, 7.
So still dead.
Yep.
But he can't tap his Mana Confluence, so if he Murderous Cut his Courser...
He still has access to his elf.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, you're right.
So we'll see.
Now I imagine Dan is going to say, Barry, I throw this fireball at your face, and Barry looks like he is ready to scoop up his cards.
We'll see what Dan wants to do.
I'm going to sit in a tank here for a while. I'm pretty sure Barry doesn't have any counterspells in his deck. Can't cast... Does Deflecting Palm deflect fireballs?
It does.
Oh
yes.
man, he can't cast that one either.
Can't cast that though. Not with a green Mana Confluence. Here we go. Gonna tap Nick those for 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, 4.
Yeah, that seems like the play. Gonna play your Courser first though.
So he loses a mana, but I don't think it matters.
He plays his Courser
Because he gets the Ferocious trigger then, because now
Correct.
he is as
to get
active.
the additional 2 damage.
Yeah, so but I don't like playing my Courser because if Barry does have like Murderous Cut,
Sure.
then
We're out of the game.
now does the Ferocious trigger happen when the spell is cast or when it resolves?
When the spell is cast, the Ferocious trigger.
It has
Correct.
Ferocious.
So there we go. He fired it off,
So
and
he
that'll do it.
Decided to Fireball his opponent who was dead to Fireball with no counterspells and won the game.
Well, I mean, he took the aggressive line of play and kind of forced Barry into a situation where he had to make a move.
Right.
He couldn't rely on sitting back and just looking at the cards in his hand.
Yeah.
So
it was actually a pretty decent comeback there from Dan. He was stuck on 3 lands for quite a few turns, had no red mana. Yet he's able to take game 1 on the back of Fireballs and not seeing Whip of Erebos from our opponent.
So as they go to game 2, and the players are sideboarding, let's take a look at their sideboards because we have the deck lists in front of us. What do we see coming out of Barry's sideboard?
Okay, so Barry has 3 Thoughtseize, 2 Glare of Heresy, 2 Bile Bite, a Downfall, an Anaphens of the Foremost, 1 Reclamation Sage, 2 Ajani Mentor of Heroes, 1 Outer End, and 1 Drown in Sorrow. I imagine he's probably going to bring in Heroes Downfall for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Outer End is very good here. Thoughtseize actually I think is probably pretty decent because you have trouble killing Stormbreath Dragon and like Thoughtseize kills Stormbreath Dragon essentially. Bile Blight, I'm on the fence about that. I don't know if we necessarily want that. It's pretty good against Hornet Queen tokens and Hornet Queen in general. It's also good against Goblin Rabble Master, so maybe it's pretty fair. I don't know how good multiple Doomwake Giants is here, so I might board some of those out. I think
Sure.
Banishing Light is kind of bad in this matchup too. It just seems too slow to me.
And you're not really hitting a lot. I mean, your Banishing Light is maybe hitting a Xenagos.
You can hit a Xenagos, but like you can just put damage into the Xenagos.
Correct.
You can't hit Stormbreath Dragon. Barry just needs to board into ways to kill Stormbreath Dragon, I think. Stormbreath Dragon and Hornet Queen.
What do we see coming out from Dan?
So Dan has 3 Reclamation Sage, 2 Nylea's Disciple, Arc Lightning, 3 Anger to the Gods, Arbor Colossus, Genesis Hydra, Barrage of Boulders, I believe that's what that card is, Creator's Claws, and a Hornet Queen. So he's for sure going to bring in Hornet Queen because that card is absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
Interesting, he does not have like a Back to Nature in his sideboard, which is kind of weird because that card's pretty good against Barry's deck. He's playing a million enchantments.
Yep.
I assume Arbor Colossus because it's, as you mentioned, it can block Wingmat Rocks. It can also just like, monstrous to kill like the other half of a rock.
Yes.
So I think it also destroys Hornet Queen, but not the tokens. So I don't know how valuable that is.
Not to mention, it's just a large body.
Maybe Barrage of Boulders if we want to kill some Hornet Queen tokens and some Satyr Wayfinders.
Last FNM, Dan played Barrage of Boulders to great success, managing to, if not to use it just to get rid of tokens, to falter his opponent and then killing him for the attack. As we saw, Dan's deck is amazing at pumping out large amounts of combat damage on the fly with the Nykthos Nylea combo.
Yeah, so I mentioned he's definitely going to bring in Arbor Colossus, Hornet Queen. Creator's Colossus is pretty good for him there. I don't know how much I like Xenagos the Reveler in this matchup. I don't really like it in mid-range matchups. I like it in, it's really ridiculous in control matchups.
Sure.
It might be good against the token deck. Just make tokens that block. Your tokens are larger than their tokens.
Okay.
It does die to Lightning Strike.
Yep.
So, Reclamation Sage, I think, is coming in. Kills Whip of Erebos, kills Doomweight Giant, kills Courser of Prufix.
Sure.
I think those 3 of those are coming in.
Well, we're on to game 2 here. The players have shuffled up, checking their hands out. Dan seems to be pretty happy with his hand. Looks like he had land Rabble Master, so he can't be mad about that. Barry, on the other hand, is going to ship it back.
Does Dan have the Elvish Mystic? Or no, he just has...
I do not see an Elvish Mystic in hand. I see what looks to be Rabble Master Stormbreath X-Screen card, and at least 3 mana.
Hey, Dan. Then a couple of... looks like he's got a Temple in there. So, hey, if we can get to 5 mana, sign me up. Barry brought in a Johnny Mentor of Heroes.
Interesting.
I guess it makes giant dudes.
Yes.
It also allows you to find sweet stuff.
Barry is dropping down to 5 here against a hand that we know is packed with Rabble Master, which...
Yeah, this could be, hopefully Barry, for his sake, boarded into Vile Light.
Sure. A card that we were saying that probably would not have been boarded in.
It's possible.
Yep. He's got a Murderous Cut.
I wouldn't be like, Barry, you're a terrible player for playing Vile Blight in this matchup, because, as I said, Hornet Queen's kind of a problem, Rabble Master's kind of a problem.
Yep.
He's got mana for it, though. There's the Mystic. 1 turn too late.
He has the Elvish Mystic now.
So, now he's going to play this. I wonder if he's going to play a tap land here, which is just miserable because he has a fetch land. Okay.
Well, what's interesting, he can fetch now for his red, play another fetch, not tap it because of the Urborg, and just use it straight up to cast the Rabble Master.
Yeah, that's fair. Barry stuck on 2 lands, so I think, hopefully, like I said, for Barry's sake, he has this Vile Blight, because if he doesn't, he's going to die very quickly. Or he boarded in Drowning Sorrow, his 1 copy of Drowning Sorrow.
Sure. To
clean all this mess up. But then Dan is just going to cast Stormbreath Dragon. And
cause some problems.
See.
There's the Rabble Master from Dan. He seems pretty confident in just playing it. Dan at 19 now.
If we go to combat, I don't think Barry has Vile Blight. I think he has a Wingmate Rock and a Siege Rhino, I think, in his hand. Doesn't have green mana. Barry... There we go. There's green mana.
Finds the land he needs.
Unfortunately, it comes into play tapped, and Dan has another Rabble Master, so we'll see if Dan chooses to play around Drowning Sorrow here, or just jam Stormbreath. I would have just jammed Stormbreath, because, if we get Drowning Sorrow, it's miserable.
So that's 8 coming in from Dan, if I'm doing combat.
You are correct. That is 8.
Ouch.
So, Barry has a Whip in his hand, too, and a Satyr Wayfinder. He really needs Drowning Sorrow. Is that Drowning Sorrow? Oh,
that is a Satyr Wayfinder. Let's see what he shows, though. I'm interested, because was that a Farika I saw in Barry's hand as well?
Yeah, he has two of those in his list.
Okay.
Freak real bad right here. It's a 3-mana.
It is. It is very bad. The Seder Wayfinder.